Hello, and welcome to The Kosh. I'm your host, Timber Smith, and The Kosh is a podcast that spotlights people who've had an association with the Kosh or the surrounding Fox Cities area. Kosh listeners, how are we doing this morning? It's a beautiful morning. It's EAA week. That means that in my neck of the woods, there's a bunch of jets flying around every once in a while, but there's also some pretty cool visitors around here, and there's nothing that tickles me more than a good conversation with somebody who's visiting the Kosh from out of town during EAA. Those are some pretty wonderful people, and they just crack me up, especially the people who come every year, because like they have their own point of view of what the Kosh is, and they move. Like, they know the places, they know where they like to eat, and they enjoy that visit every year. It's something they truly look forward to. So, I like to think that we townies and regulars of the Kosh here, we're really good hosts, and they're even better guests. Can't beat that, right? Okay, oh, yeah. So Kosh listeners, all right, you know what I'm going to say, but I got to say it, because it's what we do here on the Kosh. I do not know how we get these amazing, amazing guests week after week. And this week is no different. So without further ado, this week's guest is Pat Haney. What's up, Pat?
What's going on, Timber?
How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great.
All right.
Outside of the traffic getting down here, as you alluded to in our EAA, man, it was nuts.
I'm sorry that I kind of forgot to mention that. I didn't think about that for this episode, that you coming from where you're coming from, that you was going to run right into the morning air show time. And it's serious out there. Well, hopefully you didn't go too far down the 41 where you got near EAA and you decided to come off the highway a little bit earlier.
No, actually my navigation had me get off on 124. So
okay.
It was a different route, so I more or less missed that.
All right. Well, good. That's good. If you do Google navigation, Google do you right sometimes.
Sometimes, but there's those situations where it'll say your destination is on the left.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll be a field.
Facts.
Like, there's nothing right there.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, you have to trust it. But when you go to a place that sometimes I do it just to say, let me see what directions they're going to give me.
I will say this. Out of all of the navigations and GPSs from back in the day, I swear by Google Maps. Google Maps get me where I need to be, and it do me pretty right. And it even tells me when there's a speed trap, and it tell me when when there's construction. So I'm feeling Google Maps, but some of those other Google, map programs, or like if it's navigation built into your car,
those are iffy.
Those are iffy. Iffy at best. Iffy at best. Okay, you ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
Yes. So, can you, Pat, can you please tell us a little something about yourself and your association with the Kosh and the surrounding Fox Cities area?
Well, first off, like I said, thank you for having me on the show. And I'm originally from Illinois. I grew up in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
And I currently reside in Green Bay. And
we'll forgive you for that.
Bruh. And I worked in the hospitality and food service industry for like 20 years in a variety of capacities, from utilities, sanitation, food and beverage manager, safety coordinator, and asset protection.
Okay, what does that mean?
Asset protection?
No, I just meant all of it. Like, break it down in layman's terms. Okay. You gave me the official business. Like, I want to know as somebody who don't know, because I don't know.
Okay, so utilities, and this is in a hospitality setting. Utilities is everything from the back of the house, stuff that you don't see. The warewashing, the food prep, in general sanitation.
Got it.
And what other role? I had so many roles. And F&B manager, especially in a hospitality setting when you have multiple dining locations, it can be intense, but it's an excellent learning experience. If you can make it in that, you can make it in any standalone outfit. So it's a lot of personalities, shifts, and in the hospitality industry, depending on where it is, it could be 24/7, 365. So don't anticipate having holidays off.
Hospitality is no joke. You got family in the region here, or are you just here?
Yes, actually, my cousin Dan Tate, he's a owner of a new business. It's a shoe store, and he sells a lot of interesting shoes. Actually, it's called Shoe Stock.
Shoe store, all right. He's not one of these Jordan brokers, is he?
No, but he does have high-end shoes. I mean, it's not in my price range, but, you know, I always try to work something out. But no, it's interesting shoes. I mean, it's shoes that I've never seen before.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you may have seen them on social media or something, and he actually has them.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie. I'm sad that I didn't see it. I didn't see it in the future. Like, I like to think of myself as a bit of a futurist. Like, I'm an early adopter, right? So I definitely, when I was in middle school and high school and college, you know, I didn't buy every Jordan, but I had a couple pair. You know, I definitely had a set of Jordan 1s, but the Jordan 1s I had really weren't Jordans. I had the Georgetown ones. Remember them? Those were
the gray and blue.
Yeah, those were Terminators, I think they called them, right? And I definitely had a pair of like Jordan 3s, Jordan 9s, Jordan 11s. Like, you know, throughout time, I had a couple pair. But, you know, I didn't think like I should preserve them or that I keep them. But these would have been the originals. Now, if you have an original and not a reprint of it, man.
You know what? You're not the only one that think like that, because I have flashbacks. Because in high school, I had like every pair of Jordans, every one that came out. I had so many Jordans, any one of my friends could tell you. I used to color on like a white pair. And they were like, why would you color on these? I mean, that's how many pair of shoes I had. I mean, I'm still into shoes, but, you know, as you and I was discussing earlier, it's not in the budget. You know, I mean, you could do it, but I would rather invest in other things than, you know, $200 pair of shoes.
I don't know about you. You can do it, but I can't.
I choose not to do it.
Yeah, I can't justify it. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I spend a little money on a pair of shoes, but, you know, my feet ain't grown since high school. So I've been a 9.5 for a long time, and so, you know, I don't be throwing out shoes and just walking through shoes. So I definitely got shoes that are like 20 years old still sitting around here that are like in mint condition because, you know, I can't give them up because I ain't really did nothing with them. And, you know, I don't know what you're supposed to do. Like, I should donate them because if I ain't really worn them, and my wife's always saying this to me, right? But I can't do it. I just can't let them go yet.
You know, I don't know. I probably have like 60 pair of shoes in the basement, and I constantly buy shoes. But again, those shoes that I buy are steals or deals,
right?
You know, and I'm just sort of, you know, that's my guilty pleasure, if you will. But again, I don't wear them out. You know, I guess I don't know. That's just a thing that I like to do, is collect shoes and have them to go with different outfits, and that's why they preserve, because I don't wear them that often. My man,
bruh, I probably got about 60 myself, maybe more.
But before we move along, you know, we sort of touched on the ties, so I didn't get into that because we got off into our sneaker conversation.
Oh no, go ahead.
Just let me delve into that. So, you know, my ties to Oshkosh and the Fox Cities is limited, you know, with the exception. Most recently, I work with a nice lady named Shaquan. She's the owner of Fat Mamas.
Oh, yeah, Fat Mama.
And, you know, we got together and, you know, we did some certifications. And from what I hear, her spot is a must-eat destination here in Oshkosh. So if I don't get over there before I leave, I'm gonna hear about it.
Oh, you gonna go?
Yeah,
today.
And it's interesting that you posed this question because last week I received a call from the Wisconsin Restaurant Association, and they asked me would I be interested in facilitating food safety classes and examination proctoring at the Grand Meridian. It's in Appleton. I'm not sure where it is.
Oh, I know exactly where it is. Yeah,
yeah,
very nice, very nice.
So that's for the 2024 season. They facilitate 6 courses a year. So I was excited to get the call. Actually, she was like, "Wow, I didn't expect you to respond so quick." And I'm actually sitting in the dentist chair, and my phone go off.
Bruh.
And the dentist I'm like, "I got to take this," So I'm sitting here having this conversation, and the dentist like, "Well, yeah, just let me know when you're ready," And I'm like giving them the signal, like, "I got to take this. I got to take this." So so hopefully that'll materialize into opportunities because I'm moving all over the place and moving so fast. And as far as Oshkosh, I had the opportunity of meeting Colin Trimmel. He's the economic development director here.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some initiatives that I'm putting together that he and I are going to revisit in the future. So I am growing ties down here, and hopefully they'll spread throughout.
Okay, you making moves. Hey, big.
yeah.
Let me just give that shout. Hey, shout out to Colin. Shout out to Fat Mama. Oh, you already know. Much love to Fat Mama. And hey, more importantly, congratulations on getting that phone call for that request. Okay, you ready to jump into the first segment?
Let's get it.
All right, the first segment is called "What in the World is Going On With," and that is where you start with the phrase "What in the world is," and then you tell us what is on your mind.
Okay, well, I might have revamped the way it generally goes, but I sort of got 3 things, but I'll just combine them.
No, you look.
So
it's your episode. You do it how you do it.
Bruh.
My first "what in the world is going on" is accountability. And, not to delve too far in it, but, it's almost like, what the heck's going on in this country? I mean, standards, where are we at with that? I mean, every time I turn on TV, one situation has just outdone the last one. And it's like,
Bruh.
Facts. Yep. Is there something in specific, something you've seen recently where you were like, man?
Well, I mean, with all of, and I don't get into the political, I don't have a view for either side. I mean, because to me, it's a lesser of 2 evils. You can throw it up, and the bottom line is, what are you doing for the people? And
Correct.
They seem pretty good to keep pit people against each other. So that's a really big turnoff. Unfortunately, and also, the other is the hypocrisy, because my other what the heck's going on is, why are athletes held to higher standards than politicians?
Bruh.
Oh my God. Yes. that man, I ain't never thought of that, but
ridiculous.
that there hit me like a ton of bricks.
And as an adult, there's a certain level of accountability that we all must adhere to.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, athletes are entertainers.
Facts.
Athletes don't dictate laws. They don't dictate things that affect your family. So I look at that in a different context, and the focus seems to be on athletes. It's magnified, and it's like, okay, so you can, I mean, I'm not going to point out anyone in particular, but just say, for the lack of trying to figure out what it is, whatever the situation is, if you say get a DUI or cheat on your spouse, they're calling for the athlete's job. you know, but in some instances with politicians, you know, it's this glossing over and spin, and I don't know. It's just an area that once in a while.
Well, your team, if you aren't depending on what team you are or who you cheering for, is really what it comes down to.
And this might not be popular, but you know, I equate, you know, like your local neighborhood gangs, and you know, when they partake in different activities that may be unsavory, and then the ones with them still roll with them, knowing that they did wrong. That's no different than politicians. You know what the only difference is? The politicians are in suits.
Ooh,
bruh,
you going hard today.
And that wasn't my intent.
No,
you know,
look,
so we gonna move along.
No.
Hey, the topic came up, and I was like, you know what? This is a nice opportunity.
No. Hey, look,
because I'm not the only one thinking that. I'm just saying it.
Well, I agree with you on that, but it's actually how you're actually just expressing it. It's the way you're saying it and the way you're putting it out. It's very, you can visualize it and it makes too much sense. Like sometimes you can know what you're looking at, but until somebody just says it in a way that's so plain and profound, it gives you pause. Like what you just spit was two things that were just profound and plain. And it's just like, wow. You couldn't have said it any better. And I guarantee you right now, there's some people scratching their heads going, yeah, I don't know if I can respond back to that. That's solid. I'm going to have to call this one of the best. What in the world is going on with? So, okay, you said you had one more.
Well, no, I tied that in because the first one was accountability.
Okay.
And the second was standards, holding people to certain standards. And then that's when the whole comparison with athletes and politicians.
Yeah, I think you're right, because their job is to take care of us. Exactly. Their job is to represent us.
And decisions that they make directly impact our lives.
Directly.
Athlete, you know, whether you're rude or whatever they do don't impact my life unless it's a encounter. What they do on TV, I see them from afar.
Correct. But these laws and stuff that are getting passed, and actually how the tone that these politicians set directly impacts your life. You know, how they choose to, the side that they choose and how they choose to engage the other side, how they attack the other side, the tone of how they attack, what they attack the other side over. They literally put people's lives in danger.
And it's sad in the same time. And just to, you know, add on to that, look at politicians, and we'll just, for the sake of whatever, let's say the left and the right, just view them as parents.
Okay.
And view us as the children. So in your household, in my household, in every household growing up, if the parents are bickering and fighting and it's just a mess of a situation, how does that affect the kids?
Okay. Now I can't have them as my parent now. But
no.
But I like
analogy.
I like
that's just analogy.
Yeah, I like the analogy though.
So the analogy is saying if all I witness is this, it becomes normalized.
Well,
and that's the problem that's going on now. Everything is normalized.
Well,
it's okay to lie.
There should be difference in opinion, and we do need different political parties. But the problem is when you don't stand for anything and you're just villainizing another side because of difference. You're just seeking out legitimate, just difference because they live differently or they are different, maybe a different race or a different culture or different. And you're just picking at them. Not that they did anything to you, not that they harm your family or your way of life, but just because they're different. And we're just picking at it and we're trying to take things away from people. Like, this is wild right now. And they don't stand for anything. You know what I want you to figure out? I want you to legitimately figure out how to maximize our tax dollars. I'm not saying I want you to necessarily cut my taxes, but I'm saying maximize it so you are legitimately taking care of the people more than some of the other things that we spend tax dollars on. Because I don't feel that we do that. It seems like we're constantly trying to cut taxes on the backs of the actual social side of things, where we should be trying to take care of people. We should take care of poor people. We should provide things. We're a really wealthy country. This system isn't set up for everybody to actually make it through the system. We should maybe subsidize some things where we need people who do the base level work. That's part of what makes things work around here. Everybody can't be management. Everybody can't have a 6-figure job.
And with that being said, you have to allow them to have a livable wage.
Fact.
Because those are the thankless jobs,
They weren't. We thanked them for a little while during COVID when they were essential workers.
You know what? And I'm gonna throw another one out there. I know I'm digressing, but veterans. I'm in the process of getting involved in some home building in the Green Bay area, and there's a lot of great work being done for veterans. Habitat for Humanity, and I'm working with them on some volunteer initiatives. And I just seeing that aspect in meeting service members and former veterans, that's another what in the world's going on. And that's been going on for a long time. And the question that I pose is, why aren't the government doing more? There shouldn't be a homeless veteran in this country. Mm-hmm. That's great that we have programs, and you always see a commercial, hey, donate to this program and that's an indictment against our country, because if those men and women went to fight for us and continue, how do you arrive home and try to figure out what you're going to eat or where you're going to sleep?
Bruh.
It's complex. That's what I'm going to say. It's complex. And you aren't wrong.
Hey, and it's easy to throw out the problems. The solution is, what we...
Well, this was... the only reason I say that is because this was my world. I'd worked in this world for some years, and professionally, and it's complex. But you aren't wrong in that there shouldn't be anyone out there who served that isn't able to at least live at base level and provide resources. And a lot of times there are the resources out there. It's sometimes, depending on how that veteran served or when that veteran served, it's getting the veteran to actually trust the system to go get the resources. So
definitely looking at it from more perspectives than just one. And, that's more or less me looking at it from the outside.
That's fair. Okay. Well, you went hard. That was beautiful. That was beautiful, Pat. I loved it.
That wasn't my intention.
Hey, stop it, bro. That was fantastic. All right. What in the world is going on with the fake abduction with Carlee Russell? All right. Look, okay. I want to say, when this all kicked off, I was like, man, this is wild. But here's what I did like about it. Normally, America, when black women go missing, we don't get that level of alert.
Definitely.
The attention is not paid at that same level. So the fact that all of a sudden there was like real alerts about this young lady, like it went hard. News hit it. It was on social media, had it traveling. People was looking for this young lady. Like, I was proud for the moment. I was like, okay, the playing field is leveling out a little bit, just a little bit, And then you start hearing the stories, right? And you're like, man. And then she came back. And you're like, okay. And people were like, this seems hinky. People right away was like, something seems wrong. It's a little sketchy. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to jump in. I'm going to give it time to breathe because I just think people are rushing her to tell her story. If she's been through a traumatic experience, let's just give her time to, to process and heal and do whatever she got to do. We'll get the story eventually because, they was not going to let it go. Law enforcement was going to have to get the story out of it. And let's be honest, the internet was going to have to get it. Social media wanted it. News wanted it. Everybody wanted the story. So I figured it would happen. And the thing that made me actually buy into the story was the boyfriend. Because when she came back, the boyfriend stood in solidarity and said, you don't know what she's been through. And I promise you, since she's been home, she came back home shook. She has been through trauma. And I know because I'm her man. And this, that, and another. Right? And I was like, okay. I feel that. I felt everything about that. Right? Why this next week? She coming out. And I lied. And I was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. And with the whole toddler on the side of the road abduction trick deal, that threw a whole nother wrench. Because I was like, who's using babies to snatch women? Like, there's low. Like,
that's a new low.
That's a whole nother level of low. That's not even something I would think of for a movie. Babies? I was like, because that was the thing. Look, that piece right there was so odd that it almost made it believable because it was just that odd. Right?
Excuse me.
No, I mean, that's just, I'm just telling you this. What do you think? What do you think?
You covered it. I'm not going to touch that.
You're not going to touch it?
No.
Not even gonna, okay, well, that's fair. No. That's fair. So that is why, Carrie Lee or Carlee, why Miss Russell? Don't do that. That's just because what ends up happening. When things happen in our community, it doesn't just affect the person, it affects the whole community.
Exactly.
Because there's judgment that goes around for all.
Exactly.
So we don't have that luxury where the one person just gets stapled with their flawed mistake.
And what I would equate that to is that situation with, what's that actor name from Empire?
Oh, I know. Smollett.
That was,
man.
But Dave Chappelle said it the best when he was like, that community was up in arms with the black community for not showing them support.
Right.
And Dave Chappelle said that the black community was showing them support, but they were showing them support with their silence because they knew that he clearly was lying.
Right, because none of that add up.
That just didn't.
Yeah, and that's it. Sometimes the support is silence, where we don't just call it out and blast it all out and be like,
Exactly.
So, all right. We're going to move to the next segment. Next segment is word association. This is where I say a word and you tell us what comes to mind. We always start off here on the Kosh with the unifying word, the word that we all can gather around and get with, and that word is food.
All right. Well, what comes to mind when you mention food to me is a memorable dining experience and trying different cuisines.
You got a favorite joint?
I really like Nakashima.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe they have one down here.
They do.
Or in Appleton, rather.
Right.
I haven't tried that one, but in Green Bay, it's a favorite of mine.
Yeah, it's a good time. I haven't been there in years. We used to make the mistake when we were young and it mattered to try to go there like on a Valentine's Day, which is a horrible idea. What?
You know what? And based on what you said, I'm having a flashback. I was at a manager outing after a responsible business committee meeting, and I had a white shirt on and a salmon tie. And the guy was up there chopping his stuff and doing his little da-da-da. And I'm like, hey, buddy, nah, because he's chopping up shrimp and throwing them up. And, you got the patron participation. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, no. And I sort of was embarrassed because I sort of got outside my element because I gave him a couple opportunities, and I'm like, hey, not over here. And he got the flipping the shrimp up and one hit my tie, So then I stood up and, I sort of got out of character, and my party was looking around like, ooh, Pat, you all right? But so that was a bad experience there. But outside of that, I really like the food that they have.
Okay. Cocktail or beer?
I would have to say neither. I don't drink anymore. I haven't drank this New Year's Eve of 23 will be 6 years for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do we like to drink? Everybody's got their something. You could be
my go-to. You know what? I cut back on soda, so I'm a fan of apple juice.
Ooh, me too. I like apple juice. Don't buy it no more, but I like apple juice.
I try all different varieties of juice. Water too. I try to get a lot more water intake because, in the course of a busy day, you may look up like, oh wow, I only had one glass of water. So.
No, I feel that. I'm working on my water intake too, but I'm doing it through tea. Me and tea are becoming really good friends.
So, is there a particular tea?
Black. Well, it depends on the time of day. So I start off in the morning and I want a black tea of some sort. I like lemon lift, so a black tea with some lemon in it or I do an English breakfast tea is always good. And then as the day goes on, I might move into more of a green tea because then I want the high caffeine in the morning, and black tea has the most caffeine. And then I move into like a green tea, which that's a more smoother caffeine buzz to me by the afternoon. So then by the time I go home, I can actually go to sleep and I ain't got the shakes. Because coffee for me right now, I can't do that caffeine anymore without having some shaky repercussions where the hands can't stand still.
Exactly. And, that was a conversation we had earlier when I told you I had a whole pot yesterday. And,
bruh,
oh my gosh, I didn't touch it this morning because, I was wired. I probably got to sleep around 2:30 this morning.
Now, I'm not going to lie. Every once in a while, though, I will give me some bougie coffee. give me a nice little bougie Starbucks-ish something or another, and it makes me happy. Concert.
I would have to say high energy and fan participation.
What's the last concert you went to?
Ooh, so now you're gonna.
Oh, I'm dating you.
Yes.
I don't have no shame neither. I'm gonna be there with you.
I'm trying to think. Oh wow, it was back in the days. Actually, it was Summerfest, and I believe it was Jodeci.
bruh.
Who else was there?
Was it Jodeci or was it Casey and JoJo? Because I feel like
Yeah, Casey and JoJo. I believe it was Hammer there. Oh no. I'm going back too far. It was a Luther Vandross.
Oh,
Yeah, a friend of mine talked me into going, and it was amazing. He put on a really good show.
you can't beat
This was
Luther.
years ago. No, and the crazy part about it, and I'm sure you probably experienced this. Just you may know some songs, but have you ever been at a concert and somehow you know all the words
Mm,
that you never knew?
right. Sometimes you don't realize how many songs you know of them. Right? You've been listening to them, you ain't really thought about it, and you're like, oh, I know, wait a minute, I know, yes. And yes, I can sing. Well, I don't know if I know the song, words to any full song, but I know some choruses,
Then you can get your hum in there.
Yeah. And I know some Luther because I used to play, especially the best of Luther. That was, when I was in high school, that was the slow jam tape. That was a thing.
What they used to say, baby making music.
Facts.
Bruh.
Luther. Was Luther, wait, was this, the question we
Little
always
Luther,
ask?
Big Luther.
Yeah, exactly. Was it skinny Luther or big Luther?
It was skinny.
Okay. Because for some reason we feel like that matters. Like he was singing better as one Luther versus the other Luther.
And you get people that have that debate. No, I prefer Big Luther over Little Luther.
They do the same thing to Oprah.
You know what? I was just, oh man, I was just having that conversation. It had to be a couple of days. We were talking about weight fluctuations, and I don't know how we got on the topic, but I was like, because Oprah has went through that,
Right.
up and down and up and down, and that has to be challenging.
Yeah.
But I mean, on the bright side, at least you can do it because you've done it several times.
Look, Oprah is a billionaire. She can do what she wants. Yeah,
She can drop her body off at the gym,
right?
Ask them
to work it out for her,
right?
Put it back on. Ready. Yeah, call it when it's ready. Exactly. So I'm not trying to hear it about Oprah at all, and she's one of my fan favorites. Streaming.
I would have to say, binge watching series across the different platforms. Actually, lately I've been watching, and it may be old to the listeners, but it's new to me. This particular one is Tyler Perry's The Oval.
Okay.
And it's pretty good because I seen, I flipped through and I was like, I don't know. But I ended up watching the first couple episodes, and 3 seasons later, I'm still in it. But there's all type of stuff, because when I do get downtime, I just like to veg out.
Yeah.
And the plus side of that is, and it spoils you because, when you normally watch, a show, you have your commercials, and then you have that all dreaded scenes from next week. But you don't get that. You just sit up there. So, streaming has actually spoiled us because some things I won't even watch, and I'll wait till they gather up.
Okay.
Because I want to watch them in succession.
I hear that all the time where people are like if there's a show, because there's a couple of shows out there on like Hulu or whatever, and they release it weekly, and people can't even stand it no more. Like they can't wait a week. Like that used to be life,
right? Where
you watch Dallas, and Dallas would go, and you checked in every Friday night on Dallas, right? And that is a thing now where people can't even, like my wife says that all the time, like, nah, I want to wait because I need to watch like the whole thing or whatever. And I don't mind the week thing. So like Ted Lasso, Murders in the Building are some of the things I streamed where they release it weekly. And I I would watch it on Friday. So I'd come home from work on Friday with the wife and sit down, and that was our thing. And I looked forward to it all day. And there's something about that feeling of anticipation, because I knew I would sit down every Friday. We usually get like a little pizza and joint, so I get my pizza together. I get in, I get to watch my episode of Ted Lasso. And I was like, it's a good Friday. Like, it was a good way to come home from work.
And that's when we're getting a little older, because that's an actual activity and you look forward to it. Like certain things when you're young, you're like, ooh, we might be going skating or something, and now it's like, ooh, I get to sit down and watch this, and you get all your little creature comforts together and get up on your perch and
You calling me out, man.
No, hey,
Bro.
You ain't wrong though. Shop local.
For me, that's investing in the community, by supporting local small businesses, and as a new and up and coming business, I find myself lending my support, whenever necessary, hitting the farmers markets. And during this time of year, I don't even buy produce in the grocery store. I have to hit the farmers market.
Okay. Well, that's fair. I think that's a good move. I definitely support farmers market. I don't know if anything says local quite like the farmers market. But I'm not going to lie. I don't buy a lot of vegetables from the farmers market. My favorite thing to buy from a farmer's market is a burrito from the Burrito Man, if he is around. But the Burrito Man did not show up this year, so I'm mad at him. And Kosh listeners, nobody has found the Burrito Man, so I'm mad at y'all too, because y'all supposed to find the Burrito Man for me. Yes. My new thing now is at the farmer's market, there's this place that does these iced coffees, and I do an iced chai tea, and it is fire. So good.
So is it packaged, or is it ready to go?
No, it's ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah. So like a coffee, but it's chai tea. But when they do these chai teas, there's like I'm lactose intolerant, so I have them make it with like an almond milk, and it's just good. It's right. That's what I'm gonna say. And I wouldn't think, like, I've always had a little apprehension about hot drinks turning cold, but nah, these are good. These are really good. So, diversity.
Diversity. I guess, taking interest, in learning about other cultures, and respecting their way of life, customs, traditions, and beliefs, and namely those around in my community. Because, what I feel it tends to do is broaden your horizons, because from a distance, you may view someone and form an opinion, but, the only true way to get to know and understand someone is to actually delve in there and, ask those questions that you want to know respectfully, but, it gives you a broader sense and ultimately a respect, because you may see someone eat a certain food or wear a certain dress, or, as in terms of attire, it may be something that you're not used to seeing, but once you, get to understand and get a little background into why, it's interesting, and then you develop a more profound respect. That's how I view it,
I think you spot on. I just think we just need to get to know each other. And the more we learn about each other, the more we find out we really ain't all that different.
Exactly. And once people get past that fear, because, unfortunately, I've fostered relationships with people over time. And, once we got to know each other, they open up and be honest, like, well, I didn't know, I was kind of intimidated, or, but it was like, man, he's a cool guy, and vice versa. I've worked with people in past years, and I was like, oh, It's like, no, he's really cool. And one good example is he was a really good friend of mine, my neighbor, same name, Pat. And he had passed away in 2000 unexpectedly. But he was a staunch conservative, and it was the weirdest thing because that was my buddy. I mean, it was weird because my brother was like, man, he's but I was like, no, that's Pat, that's my guy. We would go places all together. We would have our little debates. Well, what about this? And he'd come back with a rebuttal. But at the end of the day, we laugh and just hanging out. And so, I'm not really into judging by faces. More or less by actions. And I'll give you the opportunity, and that's what's missing, the prejudging and, that's.
Maybe what's missing is the opportunity.
That's the key word, the opportunity.
Right? We ain't giving each other these opportunities to just see each other and humanize each other. I think that's where it all falls apart.
And and just to piggyback on what we had discussed in the earlier segment, was in our what's going on in the world, it's this division. I've never seen nothing as ugly as that. I believe it was I want to say 2020, and I actually know people that were really good friends and fell out over political philosophies. And it's like, man, you knew this person for 10 years, 20 years. I mean, I've heard of situations with spouses was falling out, and I think that's disheartening. That's a tough one.
It is tough. It's tough because it's funny you say that. I used to, I had one of my closest friends, and this was my boy. I call him my brother. To this day, big shout out to Todd Moen, my brother. And he was a conservative too, but that was my man. 100 grand, he had me. And we did everything together. I mean, that cat, we kicked it, right? And one thing we've never done is we still haven't let any of this nonsense get in the way of our friendship at all. But it's funny you talk about that. Like politics shouldn't be in the middle of our relationships like that.
Exactly.
And the bad thing is, since politics really ain't about politics no more, politics should be about, like budgets and how things get paid and services and all that kind of stuff. But it's gotten real personal. It's about identities and things of that sort.
And I mean, I'm just baffled by, and this is collectively, how the country, and that's not everybody. I don't want to paint everyone with a broad brush. With that being said, it's the acceptance of blatant lying. I mean, how have lying become so accepted and normalized? And they come up with clever words, half truths. And to me, a half truth is a whole lie.
Bruh.
Yes. My favorite term that I felt like changed the game was fake news. Fake news changed the game. Right? Or wait, there was another one, alternate facts. Alternative facts.
Clever words.
Alternative facts. How do you have alternative facts? Facts are facts. I don't know. All right. So, I feel you on that one. All right. I'm done with that. We would have went down a long rabbit hole. Last word. Resources.
Keyword, networking. Networking has been huge for me. And the crazy part about it, you know, I used to hear the term networking years ago, and I'm like, I just glossed over it. Like, networking is just a boring opportunity to spend time and lie to each other, you know. And I couldn't have been further from the truth, because just this year alone, the networking lunches that I've been to, I've met, you know, so many people and so many doors opened. And you know, I can use you for an example. You know, you and I were brought together through a networking process, and you know a lot of people that I know, and that circle is just expanding. And I mean, I could be a spokesman for networking. That's how much I appreciate what it's done for me.
Agreed. Networking is powerful, and the power in it is when we get to know each other and we meet the right people, and we have this understanding that we're all trying to uplift each other. The amazing things that can happen.
And you know, the gist of it will be it's common goals, because it's expanding and elevating. And you know, those resources is out there. You know, I can say, oh man, I wish I would have you know, took this approach years ago, but yeah, perhaps I wouldn't have been ready. You know, timing is everything.
Timing is everything. Okay. We're ready for the next segment. The next segment is the Kosh Hidden Gems. This is where you share with the Kosh listeners a hidden gem, and it could be something, maybe it's something everybody knows about, and maybe there's a particular about it that they don't know, or maybe it's something that a lot of people don't know about. And it's not subject to just the Kosh. It could be in the Fox Cities region. What do you got?
Well, my particular hidden gem is in Green Bay, and it would have to be the Fox River Trail. Now, mind you, I've been in Green Bay for 23 years, and for 20 of those years, I'd never been on a trail. You know, I'm from the inner city, so, you know, that exploring, you know, that really wasn't part of the makeup. But needless to say, you know, I got on the Fox Trail, and, you know, I would take my bike out and, you know, just ride for like 5 miles. And then it just kept growing in terms of the distance. And, you know, I generally get on by the city deck, downtown Green Bay. And, you know, I would just ride it. And it came to a point where I was going out so far, it was nothing but cornfields. And, you know, I started getting nervous because I started seeing signs, and it was like, don't worry about the police. You know, these, like, we handle our own things out here. I mean, I've never even been out that far. I mean, but it's so peaceful because along that trail, you know, you have the water, and, you know, there's, you know, benches if you want to pull over and, you know, just sit there and just think and absorb whatever it is, you know, that's on your mind, and decompressing, you know, especially if, you know, you have a lot of things going on, and, you know, you dealing with a lot of things. Sometimes it's just nice to get out there because it's so peaceful and serene. And it's this particular flower that's out there, but it smells so good. It's not, I want to say lilac. I'm not sure. It's I'm not thinking of the name, but whatever it is, I can just envision that smell. I don't know if you've been on trails with the wildflowers, but I mean, I even smelled the potpourri fragrance before, you know, in a can. I can't think of the name of it, and I'll probably remember it when I leave. But I mean, it's just that experience for me, and also I was getting in shape, you know, so evidently, you know, I haven't been out there too many times this year, but I'm definitely going to get out there. But that would have to be my hidden gem.
I like it. All right. I do trails a little bit, but I'm not like deep off into the woods kind of trails, you know.
Bruh.
That ain't my life. I'm not about that life. Because I don't want to see signs like the signs you just said you saw.
I'm like, okay, that's a good indication that you are a little too far out. I mean,
That's
you're passing
exactly
highways, and you know, the first thing that struck me was seeing. I'm sure you've been over the 172 bridge by the Green Bay Correctional.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen it from below. And that's part of where the trail runs through, so I'm out there taking pictures. I haven't put them on one of my old websites. I mean, really beautiful pictures, sun, blue skies, and I really like the trail. And there's other trails that I've been on, but that one in particular, I like it because of the scenery.
All right. We definitely got people who do trails that listen to the Kosh. So that's another one we're going to add on to there. What's the Kosh need?
I would have to say expanding your reach in terms of guests. And that's not saying that you're not doing it, but actually that is a compliment to the Kosh, because I know you probably know it, but you are definitely growing. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
Your viewership is expanding its reach. And, I'm going to do my part, because I have some very important candidates in which I think would do the Kosh justice, just to get out their message and their perspectives on things. And, man, you're doing a wonderful thing. I mean, I've heard so much stuff, and I didn't tell you this, but I was going to seek you out, because I heard about the good things, and then, I listened, and I'm like, oh, wow, I want to, get to meet him and, discuss some things. And here we are.
Yes. And you know what I appreciate? You're the first person that's ever taken that and gone in that direction with it. And I appreciate everything you're saying. All we hope to do is to give voice to our neighbors and to give a platform for people. So I want people to understand who lives in these communities and the good stuff that they're doing, or how they feel living in this community. How does it feel as whatever your background, whatever your identity is, how does it feel to live here? Because so many of us live in our silos, right? I'm lucky enough that I work in a job where I get to cross paths with all sorts of people, and get to have some pretty engaging, in-depth conversations on a lot of topics that a lot of people might not get to have conversations with people from these different demographics and backgrounds. But I think it's so important for us to know who our neighbors are, who we share community with, and how do we help each other. And that's what I always hope that people get from the Kosh.
And, that's nice to hear. Because, man, and my first thoughts, was a little apprehension, because it was like, well, I don't live in Oshkosh, and it's for Oshkosh, hence the name, the Kosh. And, but it couldn't be further from the truth. It's like, it's that community, but you expand that community, because community isn't just the corner. Community can be defined by
many things,
vast distances.
Yeah. Community is defined to me by, where there is a group of individuals, people, families, just trying to work and live together, whatever that looks like, right? And hopefully creating resources so we're able to do that the best way we can.
Exactly.
That's it. And that community means it can be a block, it can be a neighborhood, it can be a city, it can be a county, it can be a state. Like, community is community.
Exactly.
There's really not boundaries on that.
That's a better word right there, in a nutshell.
Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break right now, and then we're going to come back for story time.
Did you know there are children in the Fox Valley in need of hearing aids, but their parents struggle to provide them because of lack of insurance or high copays? I am Juliette Sturkins, audiologist and board member of Here in the Fox Cities, and proud that this small local nonprofit organization has helped fund hearing aids for some 30 kids. Your donation would help more children hear. Visit hereinthefoxcities.org to learn more and to see their smiles. Every child deserves to hear.
Okay, we're back. And now we are on to what is becoming my favorite segment here on the Kosh, and that is called Story Time. This is where our guest has an opportunity to share a story, and that story can be about absolutely anything. There is no rules to story time. It does not have to be about anything in specific. We just want a good story. So, Pat, what you got?
Oh, wow. I have a lot of stories, but, one particular, actually two stories stand out, and they both took place in Los Angeles.
Okay.
So the first one was, this was back in '93, and it was my first year of school. I went to Moore Park College in Moore Park, about 30 minutes north of San Fernando Valley. So I had four roommates, a couple basketball players, a couple football players, and excuse me, this was January, and I remember it so well because, and again, I'm dating myself because I had brought a VHS tape from Wisconsin. And I brought it out to California with me because at that time, Martin was real popular. So
yes,
the tape was full of Martin. And I will never forget it. It was 4 a.m. when I put the tape in, and I sat back on the couch. And I remember it vividly because it was 4 a.m. And when you heard it on the news, you knew what time this event had took place. So what happened, I just turned it on, and I started hearing this sound that I never heard before. I mean, it was spooky. It was the ground was hitting so hard that stuff literally was breaking, and you couldn't hear it break. That's how loud the ground was slamming together. So unbeknownst to me, I was in the middle of an earthquake.
Oh,
Bruh.
And I mean, I can laugh now, but at that time, I was petrified. I know I didn't use the bathroom, but I probably was very close to doing that. And it was a little funny because what had happened was we had a trophy case above the couch that I was sitting on. And one of my football playing roommates used to chew tobacco. And you're familiar with 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
And those. So he had like a big gulp cup, and he would spit chew in there. And he happened to have it on the shelf. So as everything got this slapping, this big cup come down on me, and I'm covered in chew.
Oh, no.
But that didn't even matter. I was so scared. I'm like, I started screaming. I was like, the world is ending. The world is ending. And I see these guys laughing at me. They got up and moved, but they were like, hey, get up, stand in the doorway. Man, I literally thought the world was ending because I've never experienced that. You hear it, or you may see from a distance on TV, oh, there was an earthquake, and he's like, oh, wow, you see the devastation after the fact. But that was probably the most traumatic moment of my life, and it was so scary. Everything was black after that, and we finally went outside, to assess some of the damage. And there were apartments. We were in this particular condo, but over there were other apartments, not too far away, and some of them literally pancaked. So we were fortunate, and that was a traumatic experience. And the days to follow was even rough because kids that we went to school with, some of them had lost their life, and it was a real traumatic situation. School was sort of somber, and they had counselors in there, and I mean it was an experience. And it was this one officer, because this happened at 4 a.m, and it was a state trooper, was heading to work on, I don't know if it was a 405 or 10, whatever particular freeway it was, but those freeways are high,
right?
And the freeway had broke, so he literally drove. It was dark still. He literally drove off down to an unfortunate situation. And the days to follow, I wasn't aware of, but when you have an earthquake, they have aftershocks. Yeah, I'm sure you heard of aftershocks.
Yes.
But the aftershocks can be just as violent as that 15, 20-second earthquake that you just experienced. And they happen at the most unopportune time. So all the phone lines were dead. And it was January. I don't remember the particular day, but it was the 6.6. So it was up there in terms of its devastation. So, I'm trying to reach my mom in Kenosha, and I can't because the phones are, the phone lines are dead. And, I'm like, oh, I don't like California. I was so petrified. And this was the second semester. And as soon as the phone lines came up, I went to B of A and drew out my money, and I was on the next plane out of California.
Bruh.
You said it was a wrap.
I'm out of here. I didn't even complete the year. I was like, I'm done. Yeah. So that was a really tough situation. In the Midwest, we get, tornadoes. You may see a little damage or whatever, but to actually be in the middle of that was
different.
Quite the experience. Yeah.
All right.
So
you said you had two.
Oh,
you got
okay.
two?
Well, yeah. So the second story was Los Angeles also, and this was 2 years later. So it was, I'd say, roughly 96. And a friend of mine I went to school with had got drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers. So I witnessed California from a, college perspective. So, my second time going out there, was a little bit different, given the exposure and the things that I saw. And I remember this so well because we were all at Nick Van Exel's house. And he was getting ready for a game. They had to be there probably, 4 hours before or whatever it was. So one of his assistants took me, myself, and a few other buddies to the game. And so after the game, we went into, at that time, it was the Great Western Forum. So where we sat on the floor. And it was so crazy because I was sitting right next to Magic Johnson's wife, Cookie. And on the other side of me was Jerry Ball, and he played for the Raiders at the time. And, he big guy. He was like, hey, you guys want some hot dogs? I'm like, yeah, give me some hot dogs. He passed them all down, and, he was like, hey, buddy, slide over. I need a little more room. And I've been to a lot of basketball games growing up, because I'm just up the road from Milwaukee, and Chicago is pretty much
Course apiece.
Right. So, I got to see Bucks games, Bulls games, But those games, I was in the nosebleeds. So this particular experience was surreal, on the floor. And then I told, buddies about, these experiences over the years, but it was crazy because I look over, we're right behind the bench. We're on the floor, like the first, seats behind the bench. And under the basketball hoop on the left side was Jim Carrey and what was the other one? Rob Lowe. And I mean, I can see them just as close as you and I are, and, I'm trying to, keep my composure and not, act like I've been somewhere.
Right.
If you will. But it was hard, because you're like, hey, I see them on TV. And, it was a crazy experience. So after the game, the players coming over talking, to celebrities and whatever. And the assistant was like, hey, guys, I need you to come with me. So I'm like, okay, where are we going? And when we came in, they put like a fluorescent sticker or, a stamp on our hand. And I'm like, all right, let's go. And he was like, hey, we going to the Forum Club. So we walked across the court and we went in there and I'm like, what the hell is this? It was literally a club in there. And you name it, they was in there. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, oh, we in here. It was experience. And Nick was like, hey, they're not going to believe you, but, just enjoy yourself, have fun, because I'm thinking, oh, I can't wait to tell such and such, and I mean, it was quite the experience. And this is right after the basketball game.
Right.
So the players was getting dressed. And I'm thinking we're about to hang out all night. I'm like, hey, let's get some more. Let's get some drinks, And so I'm like, no, I don't want to leave. So Nick comes out, and 4 of us rode with his assistant, and Nick went to the game by himself. So he was like, hey, what's up? You want to roll? I'm like, I'm rolling with you. He was like, all right, come on. So we go through this one little tunnel, and he prepped me before we went out. He was like, hey, when we get through this door, just keep walking fast. Don't stop. Just keep walking fast. And as soon as he opened that door, you've been to Lambeau. Well, there's a like parking that goes up from down, So they had Nick's car right there. And as soon as we go out the door, all of these lights and cameras was, Nick, hey, so what about it? And it was the craziest surreal experience, and it was fans heckling, hey, give me your shoes. And he just kept walking, and they was, cussing and saying whatever. And he was like, come on. He laughing. He's like, come on, man, come on. And I'm taking it in. I'm like, I'm arguing with the fans. And he's like, man, get in the car. I walk right out there, and it's literally a TNT camera in my face. And he was like, he laughing because he used to it. And he knew that I was going, take in the experience. So, I get in the car, and I mean, it was the most amazing experience. And he's laughing the whole time because he's like, he's from Kenosha, he's not used to seeing this. And I mean, it was the most surreal feeling. I mean, I had the chills. I mean, I was like, man, look, it was an amazing experience. And, people don't really get to experience. And at that time, you know how Kobe came around a little later, and Shaq, but just how they had developed that stature in LA.
Right.
At that time, Nick was that guy. We riding down the street, and I'm seeing all these billboards and pictures of him, and he right next to me in the driver's seat. And I'm like, man, he just cool though. He never. I mean, you wouldn't think he was any different. And I'm like, dang. You hear stories about how money and fame changes people, and he was the same dude, and it was, I mean, it was experience that, a lot of people won't get, and I cherish that experience. And I mean, I can go on and on, but some of those topics would have to be discussed off air.
Bruh.
All right. Thank you. I'm not gonna lie. You had me on the edge of my seat on that one. I was enthralled in that story. That was a fantastic story. You know, we never know what we're gonna get with story time. And that's what I like about it. Like it's so cool. Okay. All right. I love a good narrative. All right. Well, you know what time it is. We're about to really get into it. Every time makes me feel good. It is time for the topic of the week. The topic of the week is chosen by our guest 99.9% of the time. And this is no different than any of those other 99.9% of the times. So, Pat, what's our topic of the week?
So my topic of the week is to give a little insight into my business. And because I know you and I talked about it, but, I just wanted to share a little, with your listening audience. And the name of my business is 6P Solutions. And I get a lot of questions about, hey, what's 6P Solutions?
That was going to be my first question.
And so, to answer that, 6P Solutions is derived from my 6P philosophy of proactive preparation prevents poor performance plus profits, and was conceived to cater to avoiding food safety while doubling as a content expert on safety, loss control, and risk mitigation. And I do this to educate clients and associates on best practices to defend against obstacles that factor into loss-producing incidents, which ultimately affects bottom lines and the success or failure for many businesses. And also, 6P Solutions, we strive to serve as content experts on safety, risk mitigation, asset protection topics, and the vision and values are priorities as I'm dedicated to the development and accomplishments of those I lead in areas of integrity, professionalism, value creation, and excellent customer service, while ensuring the highest level of confidentiality involving all client-related matters. As part of our vision and values, we embrace teachable opportunities to impart that knowledge, which spans across a wide spectrum as far as written programs, procedures, and associate training. And this is in efforts to eliminating unsafe acts, workplace safety rules violations, and food safety management systems, while incorporating concepts for detecting, reporting, and resolving matters involving safety, inventory shortage, cash handling, and theft. Now, in this, I know I threw a lot at you. And,
yes, there is a lot going on.
This can be better understood in detail on the website. And just to get into, just real brief, the aspect of loss control, because, someone say, loss control, what does that mean? Well, loss control means any loss-producing incident. That can be anything from a trip hazard, because if an employee gets injured from, something being in the way, that's a loss producing incident because it affects your bottom line and it, affects your insurance premiums. Another example of a loss producing incident can be someone not following your procedures and appropriately rotating. In food safety world, it's called FIFO, first in, first out. For instance, you may have 8 boxes of cheese or whatever, and they're all dated, and you get your new inventory in, and you may have a not ambitious
stock person, and they sit there and they use the new cheese instead of the cheese that was already in there first,
right? Or they put the new product on the shelf and push the old back. So essentially what that does is keep the old back there getting older. And essentially that's product that is now shrink or waste because you can't serve it to a guest. So that's a good example of a loss producing incident. So, and speaking of incidents, There's a stark difference between incidents and accidents, because incidents are acts that could be prevented, and accidents are situations that couldn't be avoided or
Right.
prevented. So, it's a lot of interesting aspects, and I haven't even got into it because we also provide food safety training for the food protection manager certification, and I provide that through the National Restaurant Association and its ServSafe program, in addition to the food handler. So the food protection manager certification generally is for your pick or person in charge, because every operation that serves food in whatever capacity has to have a certified food protection manager, and you have to have that certification in your establishment. So I provide that as well. And recently, I just obtained my responsible alcohol instructor certification, and I'm in the process of tying that in with the state of Wisconsin tobacco and alcohol, and I'll also be providing that service. So there's a lot of good things going on for 6P Solutions.
All right. I kind of want to go back because you went through a long list of things, right? And I want to go back and just kind of so we can understand, like, who's your typical client that you're working with at this point in time. Who do you hope to gain as clients in the future? Are these services really central to service industry, food industry?
Good question. The beauty about it is you can be a convenience store and you require my services. You can be a restaurant, a hotel, a nursing home, a school, any daycare, any facility or operation that serves food. And so the range is so wide. And, fortunately for me, that's a good thing, because I do get a lot of businesses from a variety of different aspects. And then the individual, for instance, if you worked, say that you were a chef or cook, and, you was cook for 10 years and you go, to another employment opportunity. Now, the difference of you taking your 10 years of experience, with your resume, and, oh yeah, he's pretty good cook. But when you have a certification to attach with that shows that you understand how to serve food safe, and you can take that information and share it with the other staff. Now you enhance your earning potential. So not only do organizations do it, but individuals do it to, improve their situation. So I get calls from individuals and small business owners, and in most recent, bigger organizations. So the reach is unlimited. And what I want to add into the mix is the online. And I'm in the process of structuring that on my website, where you can take a course in the comfy confines of your own home.
So a virtual option.
Yes. And that COVID really was the catalyst for getting a lot of this online going. I mean, online was always available, but not in the scope that it is now. So, I'm going to direct my attention to that as well, because in that facet, you can take it at your own pace. You might do an hour here and, at your pace.
Right. That's big. I mean, people want that now, to be able to work around their schedules, but they still want to accomplish things. They want to have continuous education opportunities.
Exactly. And, I don't want to get too ahead of myself and speak on some certain things, but an initiative that I'm working on at this point is lending these services to institutions that have offenders that may be getting out that works in that space and capacity, and just to assist and give them a leg up, because, the reality of the situation is, people will do their time for whatever the situation is, but they have to make a transition because they're going to be in the community.
Right.
So, and that's one thing that Colin and I touched on. And again, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but there's a lot of big things going on, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. And I will share it at the right time, but again, I don't want to put the proverbial cart before the horse.
That's fair.
I'm excited about a lot of things that's going on.
So what I'm hearing is like that you will be providing opportunities for people who've been justice aligned in the past, where they can get certified, and maybe this will help transition them into professional opportunities.
Exactly, because they may already come equipped with skills, but with skills, there's more in the equation. So if you bring more, because you can bring skills to the table, but how will you convince me that you understand? And how you do that is by becoming certified, because that shows that you have the knowledge and the skills to incorporate that in my operation, your operation, and any operation. And the beauty about it is it bodes well for your organization, because, even with your insurance, if you take the initiative, and even from our food handler perspective, if, for line staff or hourly, if they have taken these courses, and those are fairly reasonable as it relates to price. The food manager certifications last for 5 years, and they're a little more, but the food handler, that's I believe it's 2 years, and it's just general knowledge, and that's knowledge that everybody want to have, and it just adds value to your organization if you take that proactive approach. And say an unfortunate situation happens and the health department has to come out, it bodes well that you've took the proactive approach and initiative to having all of your staff certified. So although it's still a concern, but the blow isn't as hard, because from their perspective, you're trying and you're taking, that proactive approach, as I alluded to. So in a nutshell, it's a lot of exciting things. It's a lot of information. And I don't get out as much because all I'm doing is studying. If I'm not studying, I'm networking. I'm looking at different avenues. The sky's the limit for this business, because, friends of mine, interestingly enough, was like, well, why food safety? Man, because a lot of them are business owners, and, they see that instant gratification from revenue, and who wouldn't? But, my vision was a little different. And, I like to equate it to my business is a marathon as opposed as a sprint, because what I want to do is garner these relationships with businesses and entities and be that go-to, because, with COVID, that's when everybody got concerned about personal hygiene, sanitation, washing hands. That has always been a staple of
There we
mine.
go.
And it's just people don't look at it until a situation happens, and then the alarm bell rings, and then you want to get concerned. But from my perspective, safety has always been first, and I like to incorporate that and share that with people, because they don't think about it until it's in it. And that's a human instinct. You don't think about it until you're affected about it. But the reality is, I keep going back to the word proactive. If you're proactive, you don't have to be reactive. And, it's communicating that. And with the whole food safety, it sort of went over my head. I got to explain in that. But I like to equate food safety with our power grid. You understand we can't live without power. I mean, it would be a short existence if our power grid failed.
Facts.
So I like to equate food safety to that, because with a tainted food supply, you can't survive either. So, I mean, you can pick and choose. I mean, I know we need power, but everyone on this earth needs safe food to sustain themselves. So the arena and avenue that I am is very well needed. So that's why I made the choice. And plus, I love food safety. I love to cook too, but that's for another day.
Bruh.
All right. Let's go back for a quick second. And how can people reach out to you for your services?
Oh, great. Good question. Well, actually, I'm on the national, the National Restaurant Association's ServSafe website under food safety instructor and registered proctor. And also, you can find me on the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Protection's website under food course directory.
Now, what about your business?
Okay, glad you asked that, because actually my website just became live as of yesterday, and my address is the 6Ps, which is THE, the number 6, the letter P, and the letter S.com. So that's 6Ps.com.
Okay. And my last question will be, and is there an email? Because some people just want to get to it.
Right. So if you want to reach me by email, you can reach me at newfoodsafety920@gmail.com.
All right, let's say that again.
newfoodsafety920@gmail.com.
Okay. All right, Pat. Is there any last things you would like to share about this topic?
Yeah, you if you are serious about advancing or just learning a little more, because you don't have to be in the food service industry to be concerned about food safety, because this affects your family, and that's one thing that when you do take these courses, it's an added bonus because you get to take that knowledge home and share it with your family. So, and I didn't mention it, but it'll be on my website. I'm also going to be providing a cooking experience where I incorporate food safety. So you'll get a little dose of food safety training along with preparing certain dishes. Because as I indicated, I'm a self-proclaimed chef.
Oh, just self-proclaimed. Okay. And I'm in. I show up for food. I'm not going to lie. And if I can be trained while I show up for food, that's bonus.
And it's fun, because, you learn, new items that you may want to make at home, and they're fun. It's not nothing that's going to be intense or, ingredient heavy, just some fun items. And plus you learn certain sanitary practices along the way.
Okay. Pat, thank you so much. And now, Kosh listeners, you know what time it is. It's time for us to start winding down. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for giving us your minds and your ears. Thank you for learning with us today. We had a lot of good information. There was definitely a vibe in the space. We shared good energy today, and I'm glad we got to share it with you. As you know, we are a work in progress always. So if you would like to be a guest, if you'd like to suggest a guest, if you would like to send a shout out, whatever it is, please, please, please feel free to reach out to us at askthekosh@gmail.com. Once again, that is askthekosh@gmail.com. I personally read all emails and things happen. Good connections happen. So reach out to us. Also, Kosh listeners, I've been making this request and some of you have been doing it, and I appreciate it. Take the time to subscribe to the Kosh. It helps to raise our analytic profile so more people can find out about it. Also, take the time to leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing. Reviews also do the same thing, help raise our analytic profile so people can find out about the Kosh. We think we got something pretty special going on here, and we want more and more people to find out about us. And also, as we release episodes, if you hear a good episode, share it. Take the time to share the Kosh on your social media for us. Tell others about the Kosh. As it was stated earlier by Pat, our profile is being elevated a little bit. There's more and more listeners each week, and we really do appreciate you all who are tuning in. So now we really get to my favorite part of the show. Let's make this happen. It is shout out time. Pat, who you shouting out?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to give a shout out to my mom, Sandra Springer. She's my biggest critic, but also my biggest fan. And I know she'll get to hear this at some point. And also my brother, Lee Ray, who also, when I wanted to maybe go in another direction and, started second guessing, what it was that I wanted to do because of certain roadblocks, he was instrumental in, pushing me in a good way. And, I recently thanked him for it because he's seen all the things that's been coming my way. And he was like, see, I told you. I even gave a social media shout out to him. And a lot of people don't do that, but it was genuine. I could have told him in the living room, but right. I wanted to make sure he knew how much I appreciated it by blasting it out there in social media. And, those two. Also, I haven't seen her in a long time, but I like to give a shout out to Meg Waldo. She was my HR director for many years, and without Meg's pushing, I definitely wouldn't be in the food safety space because she's seen some things in me many years ago. This was the early 2000s, and I wasn't interested in it, but she's seen it. She's like, no, you're really good with people and you're really good. And I'm like, no. But I thank her. I lost contact, but I am reaching out to get in touch with her because she done so much for me. And again, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing and doing, more importantly, what I love if I didn't take that initiative. And also, she really taught me how to be a professional. She took someone with raw talent and she figured out, what I had and what she saw, and she pushed and pointed out things that were already in me, but I just didn't know, and she helped bring those things out. So again, Meg Waldo, I would like to give a shout out to you. And my next shot, I got a few shots because there's a lot of people that are instrumental in Pat Haney's development.
Wait a minute, I'm gonna tell you, church, take your time. Take your time.
The next will be Karen Storr, and she owns the 9th Street Wellness Center East in Green Bay. She's a pillar in the community. She helped me tremendously. I almost feel like she's my agent because she'll call me, Pat, hey, I need you to be here. I need you to be there. And I'm like, she's like, bring your business cards. I mean, she just puts me in front of so many people. And she is such a genuinely great person. I mean, I love spending time with her. And there's not too many people that she doesn't know. But I definitely want to give a shout out to her because she was with me when things were just on paper. And now seeing things materialize, it feels so good. And I know she's really happy for me. And last but not least, Ron Franklin, the director of entrepreneurship in Green Bay. He and I has worked on some initiatives, and he's pointed me in directions that otherwise I wouldn't have been pointed into. Some aspects of my business that I didn't get opportunity to, cover today, but they'll be coming in the future. He seen the vision, and not only did he see it, he ran with it and was like, no, Pat, you need to do this, that. And I'm like, wow, I thought I was the only one that thought that or saw it, but he even took it even further. So again, I would like to give a shout out to Ron Franklin in Green Bay. And he and I will be talking soon. So I'll let him know.
I like it. You came ready. That's what I'm talking about. I like it. All right. My shout outs for this week. Let me give a shout out to Lona over at Chicago House of Hoagies in Menasha. She's having her 1 year anniversary festival. It is beautiful when we have a business of color who is making it and has great food. I've definitely been there. Her hoagies are fire. And I'm going to go try to sneak out there today and give support to the celebration, because it's amazing that she has made it for 1 year. I want to send a shout out to Dr. Bell, Rovell, Fanny, Laura, and Ariella for getting awarded the Future 15 from the Chamber of Commerce, Fox Cities Chamber of Commerce. I can't think of the name of the group, but they are being celebrated. All people of color. It is a beautiful thing. The moves that are happening in our region, I can't say how proud. I can't express enough how proud I am of who the community is becoming, and the fact that the community is recognizing that we need to celebrate everyone. The people who have particularly been left out of these celebrations for a long time, I'm glad that we are now acknowledging and taking the time to make sure that they are being included in these recognitions and these celebrations now. It's powerful, and it truly shows who we're becoming. It truly makes us a community. So big shout out to them. Want to send a shout out to the EAA Pelkey family fanatics. My in-laws are fanatics about EAA, and they post up all week long and have a great time. And I got to spend some time with them out near the EAA ground. We don't go on the EAA ground. We sit along the fence line of EAA ground. And because they've been doing it so long, they got friends that let us sit in their yard, and we just get to sit right like next to the flight line and get this amazing view that nobody knows exists. And thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having a great time. Thank you for inviting me to be part of the fanatics. I am one of you. You already know that. And I would like to send a shout out to Kayla from the Boys and Girls Club. Great job. Just for all the hard work you have been doing. And one last shout out to the city of Appleton. Particularly for the groundbreaking of the library, the Appleton Public Library. I was there for the groundbreaking. It was amazing. They say to understand the impact of an event, look around and see who's not there. And the great thing about this event was everyone was there. All sorts of people. All sorts of social classes of people, all sorts of backgrounds of people, all sorts of race, culture, like everyone was there, which tells me that library, it truly everybody feels like it's their library too. And that's a powerful statement for a community. All right, so I see that I believe Pat has something else he wants to add. Pat done thought about somebody else he wants to shout out. Go ahead, Pat.
Yes, I would definitely be remiss if I did not give a shout out to my beautiful daughters, Narissa and Ariana. So again, I'd like to thank you for having me on. I mean, the pleasure was all mine. And I know you and I will get together in the future because there'll be more things to discuss.
All right. I have one more. There's one more thing we got to do before we wrap up here. It's the last thing of the show, and you get choices. So this is where you get the option to share some parting words of wisdoms with the Kosh listeners, or option B. Option B is, what would yourself today share with your 12-year-old self? Or option C, which is both, all of the above. So which one you want to do, Pat?
Let's go with option A.
Let's go.
You know what? I would like to say to treat life like an elevator. And to do so, you always have to be willing to let people off on their floor and to continue on to your destination.
Okay, that was too deep and too simple. I love it. All right, the Kosh.